What is up, everybody? So it's been a minute since I've done an episode on Marcia Clark's book, Without a Doubt, her story on the O.J. Simpson trial. I've had a lot of shows here recently, which kind of tied up my time, but for right now, we are done for the winter, so I'm going to be able to get in a lot of episodes on the book reviews that I do, and honestly, that's probably my favorite thing that I do here on the channel when it comes to true crime. Of course, I'm doing Marcia Clark's book, I just started Amanda Knox's book, and I got a new book that I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but a lot of you have been asking me to do this book. It showed up about a week ago, and I think I'm going to be able to get my first episode out tomorrow, so I'm very excited for that. So here we go. I'm going to jump into what I think is part 6 of my Marcia Clark Without a Doubt book review covering the O.J. Simpson trial. Here we go. Marcia Clark talks about how they had like 5 minutes to put the case together for the grand jury and how law professors across the country were going to dissect every word and everything that they did for months. Well, months turned into 25 years. People are still discussing this case to this day. She talks about how on June 23rd, 1994, that was the day that one of Nicole's 911 tapes aired for the first time. But Marcia Clark was under the impression that all of the audio tapes had been previously destroyed in a routine recycling. She had no idea that these tapes still existed. However, the city's attorney's office kept copies of the tapes. The press tracked them down and got a hold of them due to the Public Records Act. Gil Garcetti was not pleased that these tapes got released. Marcia Clark states there was backlash almost immediately. Calls started to pour in, but shockingly, they were not on Nicole's side. They were not on the side of the 119-pound woman that was obviously fearful for her life on these tapes, just scared to death. But people were on the side of O.J. Simpson in these cases, saying, "How could you do that to this poor man?" Due to that tape being released, Robert Shapiro filed a motion to stop the grand jury hearing due to excessive publicity. Just another thing that whoever released these tapes, the city's attorney's office who kept the tapes, just another thing that had Marcia Clark had no chance. The LA District Attorney's Office had no chance from the beginning to win this case. This is me looking back at it now. OJ could have committed this crime in court in front of everybody and still gotten away with it because of how the police and the investigators handled this case. Poor Marcia Clark, poor Bill Hodgman, poor Christopher Darden. They stood no chance whatsoever. Then they talk about how they found out a couple of jurors were discussing the 911 tapes. Now remember, the jurors in all cases, and in this case as well, obviously, for the grand jury, they're instructed to not read, listen, or watch anything to do with the case, which is almost impossible to do in any case, but especially a case that was being covered as much as O.J. Simpson. And because of this, meaning that if they got the indictment, it could have been thrown out based on that alone. So Gil Garcetti had no choice but to file a motion to dismiss the grand jury. The judge talked it over with the jury to see if they had indeed listened to the tapes. He decided that they had, so the case was dismissed from the grand jury. Marcia Clark states she felt it would have been better to do it in open court anyway, in form of a preliminary hearing. Now they only had a week to prepare for this, though, something that they generally had weeks or months to get ready for. Marcia Clark talks about how this is crazy. Marcia Clark talks about how the current lawyer she'd been working with on the case, David, who she wanted to continue working on the case with, but couldn't and had to choose somebody else because Gil Garcetti needed David to work on the Menendez case. It's crazy that these two cases were going on at the exact same time. And it's insane to think about what was going on in California at this time. Probably a million other things as well. But the publicity that was behind the Menendez case and the O.J. Simpson trial, and the fact that they had lawyers that worked on O.J., but no, we need him on Menendez. It's crazy. Just, man. That's another case I plan to go over as well. Marcia Clark then states she asked Bill Hodgman to take the case with her. He agreed, and Gil Garcetti made it official. They, of course, needed Gil's approval before Bill could come onto the case, and he approved. Marcia Clark states that the O.J. Simpson case would be about the blood. Nicole's blood, Ron's blood, and O.J.'s blood. The blood would tell the truth. Marcia Clark talks about how the police did testing on the blood drops found at Bundy that were leading away from the victims, and they all came back to OJ. The bloody shoe print found at the scene was the same size shoe as OJ, which I believe was a size 12. The blood on the glove at Rockingham seemed to be a possible mix of all three, meaning it was a possible mix of OJ's, Ron, and Nicole's blood. There was a bloody shoe print on the driver's side floorboard of the white Ford Bronco, and they found a knit cap between the victims, which was set to be tested, but had not been tested yet, not at this point. Marcia Clark wanted to charge O.J. Simpson with 2 counts of murder in the first degree, but some thought it would be hard to get a jury to convict O.J. Simpson with anything, but after discussing it with a team of experts, they all finally decided to charge O.J. Simpson with 2 counts of murder 1. Marcia Clark talks about the errors that she found in Phil Van Adder's affidavit to get the first warrant on the morning of June 13th, and these are some of the errors that she found. Phil stated that O.J. left town unexpectedly when he flew to Chicago. That, of course, was incorrect. That trip had already been pre-planned. Marcia Clark states that Phil stated that the blood on the door of the Bronco was human. Of course, there was no way for him to know that at that particular time. For all they knew, it could have been animal blood. And the big one to Marcia Clark was that they failed to mention they jumped the wall at OJ's house to unlock the gate. She wanted to make sure that there were no mistakes when they applied for a warrant to go back to the house a second time. And then she talks about how they went back to the scene to search for more evidence on June 28th, 1994. And that's where I'm going to end part 6 of my Marcia Clark book review. I'll be back soon with part 7. Like I said at the beginning, I'm also doing Amanda Knox's book, which has been a fantastic read so far. If you're interested in that case at all, I recommend getting her book. I recommend checking out my video, of course, but I recommend picking her book up. It's a great read. And tomorrow, I think, I will be doing a book that a lot of people have been requesting in the comments. Came last week, and I think I'm going to be able to do it tomorrow. But pick up Marcia Clark's book. It's a tremendous read. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at bookstores. It's absolutely tremendous. I'm not even that far into it, and I'm already 6 episodes in. There's so much detail in this book. It's so amazingly written in great detail, and I absolutely love it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the OJ case up until this point, or the OJ case in general. Leave some comments below. Hope you're having a great day. I'll see you again soon.